ознакомились с сегодняшним обращением президента США господина Трампа пощадить жизни военнослужащих украинской армии, части которой заблокированы российскими войсками в зоне вторжения ВСУ в Курскую область. В этой связи обращаем внимание, что украинские боевики совершили в зоне вторжения многочисленные преступления против гражданского населения. Эти деяния, как я уже говорил, квалифицируются Генеральной прокуратурой Российской Федерации как терроризм.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is March 14th, 2025. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And what you see in the beginning, and this is the official Mr. Zarubin, who is official Kremlin correspondent, piece of video which you can see in full now pretty much all across the media channels in Russia, and I'm sure there will be somehow just edited in such a way that, show what is basically profitable or, fits the narrative in the West. But what he says on the response to the response of what Mr. Trump posted, which is really bizarre. I mean, and after visit of Mr. Witkoff to Moscow, and here's what Mr. Trump says. We had a very good and productive discussions with President Vladimir Putin of Russia yesterday. Obviously, there are huge clarifications now going all over the world that actually Mr. Trump didn't talk to Mr. Putin and he had no conversation with him whatsoever. Mr. Witkoff had a very late night audience with Mr. Putin, and here's what he conveyed also together with Mr. Trump, who made it now public, that there is a very good chance that this horrible bloody war can finally come to an end. But at this very moment, thousands of Ukrainian troops are completely surrounded by the Russian military and in a very bad and vulnerable position. I have strongly requested to President Putin that their lives be spared. This would be a horrible massacre, one not seen since World War II. God bless them all. Well, Mr. Putin already responded. And this is the part of his response. The response is actually 2.5 minutes. And he says that, well, in accordance to Russian law, an office of the Procurator General, after the atrocities they committed, obviously in Kursk Oblast against Russian citizens, all those people are treated as the terrorists now. And then he elaborates and says that they have only two options: surrender or die. Believe me, there will be many executions, including all those American and British and NATO instructors who are there. That's why probably Mr. Trump is so worried about all that, that they will not get captured by Russians. And so even now, being essentially captured and become the POW, prisoner of war in Russian captivity, so to speak, it's a lucky ticket. It's, it's like you won the lottery, because most of those, especially those Nazis, which United States obviously loves, the Washington, and obviously there are all those instructors from NATO, instructors, mercenaries, whatever you call it, they're really good at being a barrier troop, shooting them. Then, of course, they get shot by other Nazis from Ukraine. And when you look at this, that, I don't know how much clearer this response could be. And again, Mr. Trump's worrying about the remnants of this failed adventurism of the NATO military planners. I cannot even call them military. These are amateurs, essentially, good only in inflicting casualties on civilians primarily. And then suddenly he worries about their fate. So Russians don't buy this. And this is all response to all those which, concerned citizens, if you wish, those people who constantly worry about that somehow, Mr. Putin and Russian, military political top will betray and agree to some those conditions which Trump team essentially put forth for Russians to agree. Peremptory. They are peremptory because Russia will not accept that, and this is the case already since this morning and yesterday. So if anybody thinks that Russians are that stupid, I have a bridge to sell you. But I understand very many people who, by the way, I'm not saying they are bad people. They could be very decent people actually, and they pursue their own objectives, which are very much in the same way as Russians view the world, conservative, normal, common sense world. But they view Russia merely as a tool to achieving their, internal national objectives, such as, Russians somehow, they win and they defeat NATO, which already happened, and then they somehow, do it for the other people who actually have to go out there and do their due diligence. Voting or talking to people, educating people on what is going on. So, but here we are. So there will be no sparing of those people other than, them surrendering. And if we take a look attentively at the Russian Defense Ministry data on Kursk from 2 days ago, as you can see yourself, 66,810 killed. 392 tanks, 340 BMPs, 275 APCs, armored personnel carriers, 2,191 armored vehicles, 2,411 automobiles, 545 guns, 52 MLRS. So it's unbelievable destruction there. And if you go to Kursk map, which is still already outdated, but still this is the best we can have now. Today, it's actually yesterday, 13th of March. You can see yourself, it's pretty much done deal. 2 days ago, it was 86% of the Kursk Oblast mopped up, so those remaining 14% is not probably already done deal. But what you can see in the red circle, and it's not just the only one place, but here's the red circle, and as you can see yourself, Russians operate already in Sumy area, and which is the, Ukraine, or what will be left of Ukraine. And so, their operation continues and nothing could be done because many people still cannot understand why Trump suddenly developed this desire to, sign absolutely irrelevant peace deal. It doesn't sound good in Russian. No, I mean like phonetically. It's peace deal. It's, you don't want to say it to Russians. So the Trump and his administration signed, the deal with Ukraine for 30-day ceasefire. It's obviously a ruse. Russians are not idiots, and you saw yourself in the beginning what is the definition of all that by none other than the genius Russian military leader and, basically legend, Mikhail Illarionovich Kutuzov. This is what is this all about. So they are desperately trying to stave off the utter defeat, and Russians already stated clearly, all this 30, days ceasefire, not happening. And Mr. Putin correctly stated about nuance. You want to go to Larry's blog, and there is an explanation about what Mr. Putin was referring to. And that's why Russians wholesale, believe me, I know that, were laughing like hell, just when he stated that, it's good, we agree, but there is a nuance. And this is what I want to state immediately, that we have to keep in mind that when you go to Putin's, which is Kremlin.ru, you can see yourself. This is the transcript from the President of Russia official website. And so here he explains why in a classic Byzantium way that, well, basically he told the United States to go pound sand. And here Russia refused all those, overtures from the United States and Ukraine. And so he says, but first of all, I would like to start by thanking the President of the United States, Mr. Trump, for devoting so much attention to the settlement in Ukraine. Everyone has enough of their current affairs, but many leaders of states and the President of People's Republic of China, the Prime Minister of India, the President of Brazil, and the Republic of South Africa are dealing with this issue, devoting a lot of time. We are grateful to all of them for this because this activity is aimed at achieving a noble mission, the mission of ending hostilities and ending human losses first. So, as you can see yourself immediately, this is the not hint, it's directly. Trump's efforts are equated to the efforts of other BRICS members, and so in this respect, there's nothing special, and response will be absolutely the same. And here's response. We agree with the proposal for a cessation of hostilities, but we believe that this cessation must be one that would lead to lasting peace and address the original causes of the crisis. Original causes of the crisis are stated in Russia's, well, they also call it peremptory letter by the Russian Foreign Ministry, obviously on behalf of the President of Russia in December 2021. If they want to see what is there, they can go take a look at this. They can then go and look what was stated on the Istanbul meetings prior to the actual full-blown start of a special military operation in April 2022. Before that, it was primarily the posturing and demonstration of force, but yeah, even that demonstration of force basically annihilated the first version of the armed forces of Ukraine. And so, as you can see yourself, that's the nuance which here he talks about. Now about Ukraine's readiness to cease hostilities actions. You know, the US-Ukrainian meeting in Saudi Arabia, outwardly, it may look like the Ukrainian side making a decision under American pressure. In fact, I'm absolutely convinced that the Ukrainian side should have asked the Americans for this in the most urgent way, based on the situation that is developing, as has been said here, on the ground. Russians are not stopping special military operation, and no matter what they say, no matter how they spin it, no matter whatever they they try to put their lipstick on the pig, it is what it is. I mean, you have to understand what special military operation is about, and the fact that Trump begins to do what he usually does really well. He's a showman, make no mistake. He loves to, he loves his grandiose statements, he loves his grandiose appearances, but you have to look at the substance. As a substance, nothing the United States can do, and militarily or what have you. And Mr. Trump is learning now the hard way that, yeah, not only on 100 days not enough, let alone 24 hours, but it's going to take a lot of things to do before Russians say, okay, we're done, let's talk now. And again, Russians are not going to talk about Ukraine that much with the United States. Russians want to talk with the United States about modus vivendi, how two superpowers and the third one, China, will coexist. That's the main issue. And Mr. Trump better start, getting the proper intelligence. And I think so he's getting it now. Because obviously we have Tulsi Gabbard, who is director of the National Intelligence. And that brings us to again, back to the issue of the media. Because, for example, when there was a response of Vladimir Putin, look what they report. Yeah, Putin supports Ukraine conflict, ceasefires as US envoy visits Moscow. Well, the problem is, yeah, he supports Ukraine conflict, but you do not really report that he supports ceasefire when he states constantly about nuance. Or nuances, if you wish. And those nuances are what actually devil in the details, and that is essentially rejection. So Mr. Witkoff flew yesterday to Moscow. So he had this tete-a-tete with Vladimir Putin, conveyed messages from Trump, and Vladimir Putin sent messages back to Mr. Trump. Here are some of the messages he sent to Mr. Trump, as you can see yourself. Remember, Mr. Rubio said that the ball is now on the Russian corner. There you go. This is Mr. Witkov returning back from a meeting with Mr. Putin to Washington, D.C. And let's not be stupid, okay? If you look attentively at Mr. Lavrov here, talking to, well, in a very relaxed, informal, not meeting, a quip, he says that actually, yeah, I don't care about, for example, European Union and whatever they say in their position, because essentially they will do whatever they will be told to do. So Russians talk only to the United States, and they will be talking to the United States only on based on what I constantly state. This is they going to be talking to the United States from the position of strengths, and yeah, if you cannot continue the war, well, too bad, so it's your problem. You cannot continue to demand the, peace. And even Daily Express, this idiotic British, again, tabloid, I think. And so Putin issues chilling surrender or die warning after making new ceasefire demand. And following a 9-hour meeting in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, Russia rejected a 30-day ceasefire proposal. There you go. Even they figured this out. So there is no other way about it. And why Mr. Trump expected something? They play this childish kindergarten level game of the supposedly diplomacy. It's not diplomacy. It is all basically, what Trump did with real estate negotiations, so to speak, in New York. International relations, and especially between superpowers, are not real estate deals. They demand highly qualified people, but evidently the hawks and Zionists, they continue to dominate Trump administrations despite some of the very good critical appointments. And we now know that, which is clear stated by Mr. Lavrov, that the European Union and those chihuahuas, they will do as told. And guess what? Here it is immediately. Again, I will forestall anybody who talks about that Russians are about to believe. Russians do not trust the West in the most, in any way. And here it is. Suddenly reaction. NATO chief confirms Ukraine membership out of NATO's membership is out of the question. NATO membership for Kiev is off the table in efforts undertaken by the US and Russia to achieve peace in the Ukraine conflict. The bloc's Secretary General Mark Rutte has confirmed. Ukraine has long demanded a seat within NATO as a security guarantee, as you might remember. And one of the key demands of Russia is no Ukraine in NATO. Well, now say people, they will say, oh, you see, Rutte said there will be no Ukraine in NATO. Russians don't believe anything what comes out of Washington, or let alone from those European chihuahuas. And no, this is not gonna do. And this is, as already today's events showed, Russians don't buy this, in the most minimal way. Let alone, taking seriously all those proposals and all those rhetoric about, oh yeah, there will be no Ukraine in NATO. Sure. No, doesn't work like this. It's either there will be no Ukraine, and or how they will arrange this thing, we'll see. Because nothing is being stopped, special military operation continues, and when Vladimir Putin drops this Novorossiya term constantly, evidently somebody in Washington doesn't understand what they're hearing and what they are witnessing. And sadly, I have to admit that I was really disappointed, honestly, because I've been, he's not my friend, but I know him and he knows me. So I was on the couple of his wonderful shows of Deep Dive, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. And I, as I already stated, I might not, for example, agree with Colonel Douglas McGregor. on the issue of the World War II and the Soviet Union, but we have irreconcilable differences there. But I respect him as a professional and an officer and an honest man. Same goes for Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. But look what we have now. As it turned out, Daniel Davis was actually offered the job as the he was in line for senior intelligence position in the Trump administration, namely the first deputy of Tulsi Gabbard for mission integration. But guess what? Suddenly, Daniel Davis, who would have been a perfect fit with his experience and his position and his human integrity and American officer integrity, that Trump administration pulls into job offer for critic of Israel. And this is just unprecedented. And guess what? So what happened is Davis has been critical of Israel's response to the Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, describing the military group assault as a convenient excuse to justify wanton destruction in Gaza. He's absolutely correct here. He described U.S. support for the war as a stain on our character as a nation. And he is absolutely correct. But guess what? So we have this creep. The administration had not publicly confirmed the decision to appoint Davis, but it was confirmed to Politico by Virginia Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. So, well, guess what? Well, if you take a look attentively who this Mark Warner is, look at him. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, he graduated from George Washington University, earning his bachelor's degree in political science in 1977, and then he graduated Harvard Law School. Well, he's a lawyer. And no, I mean, I'm nothing wrong with lawyer per se, but you know what? Judging by the level of the intelligence which United States was supplied for the last 8 years, and Mr. Warner obviously said was deputy on this committee, he has no clue what he's talking about. And so comparing this creep with combat and merited American officer, yeah, it's I think so. It's Warner has to look. Well, he's not going to do it, but I mean, Daniel Davis obviously more than enough competent to handle those positions. But you know what? What can I say? This is the modern United States, and yeah, you basically, you know what? You criticize Israel, you're gonna be in the hole. So, and here's this situation which happened with him, and then no wonder which Colonel McGregor, whose experience and whose views, that of the statesman, a very rare commodity, statesman, not politician, should have been absolutely employed by Trump administration in some serious advisory or executive position. Forget about it. So this is how U.S. government operates today, and nothing we can do about it. And so yeah, Trump has only those things to continue to talk about it. But yeah, crooked Joe Biden got us into the real mess with Russia and everything else. Well, I have news to Mr. Trump. Do not forget, it was in 2018 that Mr. Trump was thumping his chest that he is the most anti-Russian president in the United States history. And he was the guy who initiated the most severe sanctions on Russia. But so he said, but I'm going to get us out. Well, sure, try, absolutely. But it's not going to be on his basically terms. Millions of people are needlessly dead, never to be seen again. Yeah, I figured that out. Yeah, that if you're dead, you're not going to be seen again. And there will be many more to follow if you don't get that ceasefire. No, you're not getting ceasefire. And final agreement with Russia completed and signed. And again, he has to understand that signing anything with the United States or Europe means absolutely nothing. United States is non-agreement capable country, and Donald Trump made his war his, 2 days ago. 3 days ago, after the conclusion of this JIDA, so to speak, ceasefire. So there will be ceasefire, but only when Russia basically, achieves its objectives. And There is no other way. And this is exactly what has been demonstrated today by Mr. Putin. And I mean, take it or leave it. And as I already stated, this is the quote by Mikhail Illarionovich Kutuzov, one of the greatest strategists. He defeated Napoleon. Of course, French don't like to think that they were defeated. You know, there was probably always this, you know, this frost, you know, of Russian frost which defeated Napoleon. Obviously, sure, yeah, the same probably happened to Wehrmacht. The Russians had no hand in it. It was all about frost. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you. This is what I wanted to tell you today. And the only thing before I go for you to keep in mind, there is already rumors, if you wish, that Trump administration toughens sanctions on Russian oil, gas, and banking sectors. Evidently, yesterday, at least they say they are considering it. Again, this is CBS News. The American establishment media are sharpest. They invent things, so take it with a grain of salt. But I would expect Trump to do this because actually, again, read Kutuzov's quip. So, and this is it for today, guys. And as always, in the end, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee too. And that will help me to continue to do what I'm doing today and constantly for the last 3 years. So, what can I say? Have a nice weekend and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.